Good news. Time travel bad news. I have traveled to the Douluo Continent, still during the Peerless Tang Sect period. Poison Qianjue, who was brought to Douluo Continent by the planet consciousness shaker, felt a bit at a loss. For a moment, he didn't know whether to raise the anti-3 flags or to put on a bad show and wait to die. But when I think about how I've traveled, isn't it a bit unreasonable not to work hard? This divine king, Tang San, can't do it even if I am extremely poisonous. Poison Qianjue expresses that the divine king takes turns to do it. The time for 10,000 years has come, so please go to death, Tang San. Keywords of the novel. The essence of the Peerless Tang clan is Zun Wupop Up. The essence of the Peerless Tang clan is Zun TXT Complete Collection Download. The essence of the Peerless Tang clan is Zun Latest Chapter Reading. Chapter 1. Forced Crossing. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 1. Forced Crossing. Damn it. If this continues, it will really be over. Oh. Are you angry? But it's no use, you can't escape from my palm. You should obediently submit to me. Above the clouds, a handsome young man with long blue and gold hair looked at the colorful ball in his hand, showing a smile of complete mastery. Upon hearing this sound, the resentment within the sphere of light grew even stronger. It is this demon from another world, who, under the planning of his former divine king, not only killed his beloved daughter of luck 10,000 years ago, but also made a mess of his own world. For these 10,000 years, I even want to erase myself and completely control the world. No, I need to ask the one true realm leader for a favor and borrow a descendant to help me get out of trouble. The rich power of the world slowly surged, breaking free from spatial constraints and rushing into the unknown world barriers. However, all of this, the handsome young man with blue and golden hair naturally had no vision to see. He could only see the extremely strong power of the world exploding, accompanied by another new star on the Douluo Continent. That is it, as the planet consciousness, once again selected as the son of luck, with the purpose of combating this means of trying to erase its plain master. Even if you choose the son of Qi luck again, what will happen? Tang San smiled slightly, his handsome and gentle face without any resentment, but his eyes had an imperceptible hypocrisy and arrogance. I want to deal with a son of luck who hasn't yet grown up, it's really too easy. But it seems like there's another way to deal with it. Over the surging sea of clouds, Tang San looked at the plain fetus in his hand and fell into contemplation. Gradually, a fantastic dog training plan slowly took shape in his mind. This plan is good, but unfortunately it's a pity that Xiaoqi has suffered a lot. However, I have found a son with good luck as her husband, and it's also for her good. I believe she won't blame me. Besides, I won't allow my Tang family dog to touch my divine king's daughter. Gentle and hypocritical laughter rang out again. The only true realm. Did a little brother come to me for help again? Earth consciousness has fallen into contemplation. What has been going on in recent years? Why are there people everywhere? Oh no, there is a world that needs help to save them. How could there be so many travelers to use for them? But these are all my dear little brothers. Earth consciousness scanned the billions of creatures on its body, pondering for a moment. Forget it, just help me out. I'm just a passerby on either side. Alright, it's just you kid. After selecting the soon to cross injustice. The son of destiny, the corners of Earth's consciousness tilted. Don't you really hope to travel through different worlds? I've heard you talk a lot before, so I'll just make it easier for you. Young man, it's time to travel through another world. In a certain township, someone who had just fired their boss and escaped from the hardship of 996 to set up a business at home, without any preparation, rolled their eyes and suddenly died in bed. Douluo Star. Deep in the center of the earth, within the plain space. The urgent call awakened the sleeping soul, which was the son of destiny, who had crossed over from earth. At this moment, he opened his eyes in confusion. The dreamy space in front of him made him involuntarily pause, recalling the scene at home not long ago. He felt dizzy, had difficulty breathing, and then lost consciousness. So am I dead? He looked down at his transparent hands, tears streaming down his face. Shua. I haven't deleted my study materials on my phone and computer yet, you bastard. I think even if I die, I'll have to be publicly executed, right? For a long time, an intermittent thought interrupted his contemplation. Help me. The only true descendant of the world. I need your help. Along with this thought, there was also a stream of information flowing into his mind. Are you saying that you are the plane consciousness of Douluo Star? Now there is a man named Tang San who greets your body with his hair and plans to kill you, and then do something indescribable to your body. He touched his chin, this is familiar to me. Tang Buddha, the divine king entwined with Banlanjan, the founder of the Way of Death, and the renowned superpower of the other world. Is this not a suitable professional match? In his previous life, he had studied countless ways to deal with Tang San with various netizens, hoping that after crossing over, they could beat up this little rascal. Whether or not to confront Tang San, let's not say for now. Regardless of whether or not he is present, Douluo Xing's plane consciousness is basically hopeless. Choosing him may save us, but not choosing him will soon lead to a complete loss of our body. So let's put the rest aside for now, the benefits must be discussed. How do you want me to help you? His interest suddenly came up, and he seemed a bit impatient. But let me talk to you first. I know you originally planned to make Huiyuhao the son of your chosen luck, but this won't work. In the end, he will be used by Tang San instead. And I also don't want me to be like him. My talent is just a waste of wood. I'll push the tide and fight against the little weakling on the river of time. Plain consciousness is dumbfounded, who understands what you're saying? Brother descendant, can you speak some Douluo language? I can't understand what you said in the only real world. However, it did hear that this descendant clearly wanted a better talent than Huiyuhao, which was not difficult for it. Although it could not forcefully intervene in the cultivation system on Douluo Continent, it could only allow soul masters and soul beasts to kill each other for hundreds of thousands of years. But it is not difficult for him to give birth to a talented and powerful person within this cultivation system. After all, it only needs to manage its talents, and its strength does not need its help to shape. The level of cultivation it can reach depends on itself. The plane consciousness also made a tough decision this time. After communicating with the only real-world expert, it realized that it had almost no way to survive and could only bet all its money on this descendant. So it almost used all of its accumulated plane power to shape the body and foundation for the newcomers, leaving only a few that could resist Tang Hao's devouring power. Then. Please. The plane consciousness of Douluo Continent fell into a deep sleep when a thought finally came out, and the soul of a certain unjust species also descended onto Douluo Continent, entering a newly pregnant but unborn mother. A strange variable was born like this, but under the deliberate disguise of plane consciousness, someone on the cloud still thought that Huiyuhao was the son of the fate of this era. But I don't know, a son of destiny with a higher rank than the son of fate has already figured out how to ruthlessly attack him from behind. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Ontological Sect. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Ontological Sect. Many people may wonder, what is the strongest martial soul in Douluo Continent? Many people will think of it as a divine-level martial soul or an ultimate martial soul. That's right, divine-level martial souls and ultimate martial souls are indeed very powerful, such as the two major martial souls of Sea God and Angel God, as well as the major Dragon King-level martial souls of the Dragon Clan. These martial souls are undoubtedly powerful. But the strongest is ultimately oneself. After all, divine gifts are divine gifts, and the ultimate beast martial soul, no matter how strong, is still the power of the martial soul. Only by being strong can one be fearless of everything. After arriving in the Douluo Continent, he had his own legal identity. The great-grandson of the former head of the Ontology sect, Poison must die. Poison Qianjue. In terms of seniority, he is only one generation younger than Yan Shaozhe, the dean of Shrek College. However, nowadays, there are only two people left in his lineage. Poison Qianjue and Poison Undead. This is also his demand for planetary consciousness, and planetary consciousness quickly shaped the poisonous and unparalleled martial soul into himself, the main body, and the true self. As a traveler from another world, Du Qianjue has read many novels in his previous life, but the only book that can be evaluated as a fantasy floor tile is Douluo Continent. Why? Because the cultivation system here is too deformed, and the expressive power of cultivation is far inferior to other worlds. In those worlds with powerful systems, the fundamental cultivation of those strong individuals is themselves. Even if he comes into this world with a distorted cultivation system, Poison Qianjue must cultivate according to the system of this world. He does not intend to honestly follow the rules to steadily fight, but rather plans to walk his own path and become a god through his own strength, rather than inheriting the divine position. It is not feasible to defeat Tang San by inheriting the throne. Tang San himself is a dual deity of the first-level divine sea god and the divine king Shura god. Unless Poison Qianjue can inherit the divine positions of the two great divine kings and destroy their lives, and then merge them into the divine positions of the creation god, it will be impossible. But the god of destruction is determined to strengthen the divine realm, and obviously has no intention of inheriting the throne. As the wife of the god of destruction, the goddess of life naturally will not leave her husband and go out after passing on the throne. So apart from some opportunistic cheats in the original work, Du Qian will never have any golden fingers and can only rely on himself. And this is also what he wants, which is the challenge. The first 6 years have passed so calmly, but within these 6 years, Poison Immortal has truly spoiled Poison Qianjue. Give whatever you want, use natural and earthly treasures as food, and occasionally use many precious medicinal herbs to soak Poison Qianjue in a medicinal bath. To put it bluntly, in the past 6 years, Poison Immortal has spent an astronomical amount of gold soul coins just to lay the foundation for Poison Qianjue. This means that he himself is the head of the Ontology sect and has a level 98 cultivation level. Otherwise, he would definitely not have been able to spend so much money where did he get such good treatment in the original work. Even if he entered Shrek Academy, Huiyuhao actually did not receive much resources, and none of the 100,000-year soul rings and bones promised by Yan Shaozhe were fulfilled. Those things were all created by Huiyuhao himself. Through hard work, how much does it have to do with Shrek Academy? The time when the planet consciousness brought him down is consistent with the time when Huiyuhao was born, which means that the 6-year-old Huiyuhao is probably still suffering from cold and hunger in the Duke's mansion of Xinglua City, being beaten and scolded by those evil servants every day. Fortunately, Du Qianjue is sensible enough to never shout hardship and tiredness. All kinds of basic training and tonic diet and medicated bath have persevered. This is also the reason why Poison Immortal has not interrupted the cultivation of Poison Qianjue for the past 6 years. If it weren't for his own reputation, even if it were the descendants of his elder brother, he wouldn't have spent so much effort and financial resources. Until Du Qianjue turned 6 years old, Du Buddy arrived at his residence. Qianjue, you're also 6 years old. It's time to awaken your martial soul. Poison Undead came to Poison Qianjue's small courtyard and looked at the handsome and lovely Poison Qianjue with loving eyes. When Du Qianjue was first born, he died due to a recurrence of his old injury, and his mother also died due to difficult childbirth. Therefore, in the view of Du Undead, Du Qianjue is the only child of his elder brother and the only descendant of his Du family. Over the past 6 years, Du Undead has almost given all his care to Du Qianjue. For this uncle, Du Qianjue also has a good impression. Although he has always been domineering and righteous in the original work, he is undoubtedly a good sect leader for the Ontology sect. Uncle, I understand now. Let's start, Du Qianjue said with a smile. Poison Undead nodded and took out 6 black crystal-like stones from the storage soul guide. He set up a 6-pointed star-shaped magic formation on the ground, indicating that Poison Qianjue was standing in the formation. Standing within the 6-pointed star formation, Poison Qianjue closed his eyes, relaxed his body, and naturally opened his hands. These are all descriptions of the awakening of martial souls in the original work, and Poison Qianjue naturally followed suit. Just relax. With Poison Immortal at level 98, can accidents still occur? Buzz. The soft white light gradually became stronger under the injection of Poison Immortal soul power, and then these lights rushed into Poison Qianjue's body. Gradually, the white light condensed into a semi-transparent figure behind Poison Qianjue. The figure presented a pale golden color, with tightly closed eyes and a height of over 1.8 meters. Its handsome face appeared incredibly light and ethereal. Upon closer inspection, the figure's face clearly resembled that of Du Qianjue when he grew up. Sure enough. Poison Undead nodded with satisfaction, his eyes filled with satisfaction. Although the sect awakened a child with a martial soul as skin in the first 2 years and had great potential, it was ultimately not as powerful as the original martial soul of the Poison family, which is the most powerful posture of the main martial soul. The figure slowly merged into Poison Qianjue's body. In the moment when the martial soul was completely integrated, Poison Qianjue suddenly opened his eyes and a newly emerging momentum erupted. Ha ha ha. Poison Immortal laughed heartily, filled with joy. With this aura, Poison Qianjue is definitely innate soul power. Although using this deity as the martial soul, coupled with years of medicinal bath quenching, without any accidents, it will definitely be innate full soul power, but Poison Immortal still cannot help but be happy. Uncle, my martial soul has awakened successfully, and my martial soul is myself. Poison Qianjue couldn't conceal his joy, and after 6 years in this world, he was finally about to start killing this world. Humph hum, ha ha ha, Douluo natives, prepare to welcome the arrival of extraterrestrial demons. As the backing of the Ontology sect, the Poison Immortal Thigh can be embraced, and Poison Qianjue can basically snatch away the opportunities in the original work. And all of these will serve as the foundation for him to defeat the Tang God King. Next goal, Starry Forest, Heavenly Dream Ice Silkworm. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Starry Forest. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Starry Forest. As expected, Poison Qianjue's innate soul power is level 10, which means he can directly obtain the first soul ring. As someone who grew up in a pile of heavenly and earthly treasures, he doesn't need to enhance his physical fitness again. He can directly obtain soul rings. Although due to the constraints of his physical development and soul power level, Poison Qian cannot absorb a 1000-year soul ring in the first soul ring, there is no problem absorbing one for 700 or 800 years. Qianjue, have you figured out your future development direction? Before hunting soul beasts, Poison Undead asked solemnly. For a soul master, the number of soul rings they can obtain is limited, and each soul master has different martial soul specialties, which means that it is impossible to have a soul master who is proficient in everything. After all, talented soul masters who can create their own soul skills are still rare. This also leads to the dialogue in front of us. Do you still need to ask? Of course, it's a strong attack type. I'm planning to take the elemental strong attack flow and only focus on self-cultivation. Poison Qianjue blinked his eyes. His martial soul is different from his 2 brothers, Poison Must Die and Poison Immortal. His main martial soul has no attributes and is not born with the poison of his own destiny, so there is no need to use self-harm through poison training to improve. He had already planned the path of Poison Qianjue himself. No matter how many soul rings and bones he would obtain in the future, or how many elemental attributes he would have, when he became a god, he would melt them into a furnace and turn them into his own nourishment, specializing in cultivating his own body. And he also needs to work hard to create the most suitable self-created soul skills for himself, unlike Tang San. After becoming a god, he will use the Sea God 13 styles and the Shura blood sword. I have no innovation ability at all. This road may seem a bit rebellious for people on Douluo Continent, but for Poison Qianjue, it's just right. And he didn't have the idea of talking to Poison Immortal in detail. It's unnecessary. If he succeeds, it will become a success. If he can defeat Tang San in the Divine Realm, it's not a big deal. He won't be too weak. His innate talent destined him to become a strong person at the level of Poison Immortal at the very least. As for the agreement with planetary consciousness, then let's not care about my deadly poison. Of course, being able to do that is the best, but not being able to do it is also a matter of limited ability and helplessness. Poison Qianjue is also gambling that his own path can push everything horizontally. Elemental attack flow. Is this system a bit novel? Let's talk more about it. However, the statement Poison Immortal clearly piqued interest in the concept of Poison Qianjue. The so-called elemental strong attack flow refers to the soul ring that integrates various powerful attributes of soul beasts, elevating one's elemental attack and defense abilities to the extreme, breaking through all kinds of magic with force, and suppressing the world with oneself. Poison Qianjue smiled slightly, so the soul ring I need can have a lower age, but the types and attributes of soul beasts must be the highest and strongest. This is why Poison Qianjue was born in the Ontology sect. There are a bunch of titled Douluo that can help him obtain soul rings, otherwise how to obtain stronger soul rings would be a big problem. Poison never dies, I don't understand, but he was greatly shocked. The passage about Poison Qianjue is too powerful, and it has to be said that this path is extremely suitable for their Ontology sect, because most of their Ontology martial souls have no attributes and can take this path. Even the various battle techniques and secrets of the Ontology sect can compensate for the shortcomings of attacking soul skills. The soul ring serves as an auxiliary, the body serves as the foundation, and secret combat techniques are used as attack methods. Apart from insufficient long-range attack ability, these are almost hexagonal warriors. Poison Undead murmured absent-mindedly. The Ontology school has been passed down for thousands of years and has never viewed the Ontology martial soul from this perspective. In the past, members of the Ontology sect basically enhanced the abilities of the body part based on the martial soul, and strengthening physical fitness was just a side effect. For example, if the martial soul has legs, then find a soul beast with fast speed and well-developed hind limbs to maximize the ability of the two-legged martial soul. The same goes for other parts. It's all a routine to enhance the martial soul, then use the martial soul to drive the body, and use the awakened Ontology martial soul as the foundation. Poison Qianjue is obviously different here. He wants to use his martial soul as an auxiliary, his body as the foundation, and both his martial soul and soul ring are just to enhance his body. His body is his most powerful weapon. Qianjue, your path is unheard of by your uncle. No one in our Ontology sect has ever tried this path before. Are you sure you want to go this way? Asked Poison Immortal in a solemn tone. Of course, roads are all made by people. There is no road in this world, and with more people walking, it becomes a road. Du Qianjue and Du Undead looked at each other without any hesitation in their eyes. If the senior members of the sect have not walked this road, then I am willing to be this pioneer. Okay. Uncle and our ontological sect will fully support you. Poison Immortal's eyes were relieved. After a day of rest, Poison Undead personally took Poison Qianjue to the Star Forest. On the way, after passing the special request of Poison Qianjue, Poison Immortal took a big turn. The two of them departed from Tiando City and forcefully turned from the direction of the Heavenly Soul Empire into the direction of the Star Luo City and the Star Do Forest. Although I don't understand why Poison Qianjue is so demanding, it's not much trouble for him, at most it's just a waste of time. My great-grandson, dote on me. As they were about to enter the starry forest, the two of them fell from a height of 1 kilometer. 50 miles ahead, you will enter the starry forest. There are soul beasts lurking, please be careful. Seeing this familiar wooden card, Poison Qianjue smiled slightly. Hua Hang, I'm sorry. Although in my previous life, I had great pity on you, a wronged person who was tamed by Tang San, when I read books, this is not the reason why I gave up on your chance. When Planet Consciousness chatted with him, it was obvious that they had talked a lot, but they didn't mention it just to save words. Among them, the heavenly dream ice silkworm was the opportunity it had prepared for the son of Qiyun. Otherwise, how could it be so coincidental? Just as they were about to be sucked dry by the fierce beasts in the star system, they coincidentally broke through millions of years and could easily escape under the guard of a group of fierce beasts. And it happened to be when Huiyuhao entered the star forest, and before encountering Huiyuhao, he was not even detected by other soul beasts in the star forest. There is clearly a planetary consciousness in this. In the situation where Gu Yuna has not recovered and cannot take action, it is simply too easy for planet consciousness to hide the whereabouts of the heavenly dream ice silkworm. As long as this silkworm baby does not die, there is basically no possibility of being discovered. Originally, this opportunity was indeed Huiyuhao's, but after Douluo Star Consciousness found Earth Brother to shake people, this opportunity was arranged for Poison Qianjue. He told Poison Qianjue, you just need to enter the starry forest, and I will help you with the rest. So there was this scene before us. Uncle, don't come with me anymore. Protect me in the dark and I'll go in on my own. Du Qianjue lifted his head and said to Poison Immortal. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Heavenly Dream Ice Silkworm. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Heavenly Dream Ice Silkworm. Poison Immortal was momentarily stunned, but soon regained consciousness and nodded lightly. As for children, it's normal to play with a heavy heart. Anyway, with the protection of a strong person at level 98, there can be no problem. He is not the elder of the Holy Spirit sect, Xuanzi. He is a famous musician with chicken legs and Douluo. If Poison Qianjue can still cause trouble under his protection, he can take off his head and give that musician a pot that night without any problem. There's one more thing, if a very big silkworm baby appears in front of me later, uncle, please don't come over either, Du Qianjue said. Although I can't explain the reason to you, please believe me, uncle. Silkworm baby's the corner of Poison Immortal's mouth twitched. He was puzzled by Poison Qianjue's inexplicable words, but since Poison Qianjue had said so, he couldn't say anything more and could only nod in agreement. Poison Qianjue, who had reached a consensus with Poison Immortal, walked slowly into the star forest. Considering that Poison Qianjue currently does not have a soul ring or attack ability, Poison Undead even gave a long sword to Poison Qianjue for self-defense. Of course, it is not a soul guide, but a weapon made of extremely good material. The people of the Ontological sect have always looked down upon soul guides, and this concept cannot be changed by a child who is as big as Poison Qianjue. Moreover, according to the trajectory of the original work, at most 20 years later, the Sun and Moon Empire will launch a war against the three kingdoms originally belonging to the Douluo Continent. In just a few years, Poison Qianjue didn't have time to develop soul-guided weapons from scratch in the Ontology sect. There was no time, no resources, and no talent. Looking at the iron rod in his hand without any soul power fluctuations, Poison Qianjue couldn't help but sigh slightly. This is the short-sightedness of the indigenous soul masters. Surprisingly, only a few people understood that soul guides were the future of Urzumu, and it was not until the emergence of Do armor and mechs that they became outdated. But even the armor and mech evolved from soul guides, so to speak, soul guides are still the future of the 3 weeks. So, Poison Qianjue must have learned this thing himself, but he doesn't plan on making his own Do armor anymore. It takes too much time to build this thing from scratch. With this time, he might as well think about how to become a god. Tang San and his group of enemies only came up with Dou armor when they had no soul bones left. It's better to directly match a set of divine-level soul bones to make a soul bone divine suit. I'm thinking too far. Qianjue shook his head, and during this period of wild imagination, he was on guard while rushing on, which can be considered as officially entering the Star Forest. Wind, god-slaying, and baboon, he definitely couldn't encounter them, but he still encountered the soul beast for 10 years. Tiger Demon Cat. The bloodline of this soul beast is not strong and can only be considered ordinary, so as a 10-year soul beast, it can only hunt on the edge of the Star Dou Forest to survive. If it goes deeper, it will also become food for other powerful soul beasts in minutes. But obviously, it is now targeting Poison Qianjue. Poison Qianjue, who possesses the essence of martial soul, has a much sharper sense than ordinary people. At the moment he is targeted by the Tiger Demon Cat, he senses a malicious intent. Slightly imperceptible, he glanced around and then found a pair of eyes emitting a faint light in the bushes not far ahead. It's not obvious, but it's easy to detect in this environment, not to mention the beast's thirst for food in those eyes. With a slight movement of his right hand, Qianjue held the hilt of his sword and pretended not to notice, walking towards the Tiger Demon Cat. However, in reality, his muscles were already tense all over. This is ultimately his first battle. No matter how many games he played in his previous life, it was just a game. No matter how many novels he read, it was still a novel. There is still a big difference between him and himself personally getting started, which is also another reason why he came into the Star Forest on his own. It's better to adapt as soon as possible. It's just killing soul beasts now, and maybe we'll have to kill people in the future. The slightly narrowed eyes showed a hint of sharpness, and at this moment, the identities of the hunter and prey were reversed. Old Lu was loved by everyone, and you thought I was your prey, but in fact, you had already fallen into my plan. And you won't have any escape routes. At a distance of 3 meters, a sharp cry came from the throat of the Tiger Demon Cat. It was obvious that this was not about announcing the dish name before serving it, but about wanting to startle the poison and make a sudden jump, and then kill it with a single blow when he was panicked. How could a well-prepared Poison Qianjue be scared? Poison Qianjue, who had been tense for a long time, paused in his footsteps and his figure flashed towards the other side, perfectly avoiding the Tiger Demon Cat's attack. The long sword, which was supported by soul power on his right hand, also took the opportunity to slay the Tiger Demon Cat's dog head. One person and one cat separated with the flow, and Poison Qianjue's slightly trembling right hand tightly grasped the sword hilt, looking at the Tiger Demon Cat with alert eyes. Sure enough, I can't help feeling a little nervous. Qianjue smiled bitterly. How long did those time travelers who could kill without blinking an eye stay at RT Mart before crossing over? How can one achieve a heart colder than a knife? I am just fighting a soul beast for 10 years, my hands trembling with nervousness, not to mention fighting life and death with people. I saw the Tiger Demon Cat fall to the ground and twitch twice, with blood pouring out from its neck. Soon, a light white soul ring floated out of the Tiger Demon Cat's body. Until this moment, Poison Qianjue finally released his tense heartstrings. As is well known, in the Douluo Continent, the best way to confirm the death of soul beasts is to see if there are soul rings on the body. After confirming that the Tiger Demon Cat has been killed, Poison Qianjue has no intention of staying here for a long time. After all, the majority of soul beasts here eat meat, and the bloody smell will attract countless predators in minutes. He doesn't want Poison Immortal to come and save him so quickly, it's too embarrassing. Oh my goodness. Finally, I met a human with a spiritual martial soul. Unfortunately, I wouldn't have shed tears, otherwise I would have shed tears all over my face. At this moment, a violent mental wave suddenly emerged. Although there was no speech, communication on the spiritual level was unobstructed. Poison Qianjue easily understood the words carried by the mental wave. Finally here. Poison Qianjue smiled slightly and stood in place waiting for the appearance of the heavenly dream ice silkworm. In front of Poison Qianjue, the earth cracked open without any warning, and a cold and icy aura suddenly spread out, staining the surrounding forest with a rich white mist. This is one of the few million-year soul beasts in Douluo Continent, and also the most powerful million-year soul beast, Tianmeng Ice Silkworm. Wow! What a big silkworm baby! Poison Qianjue exclaimed in surprise. Tianmeng Ice Silkworm froze. Poison Immortal, who was hiding in the dark and ready to take action at any time, also froze. Is the silkworm baby that Qianjue said the same as it? Poison Buddy narrowed his eyes and didn't make any other movements, but still maintained a posture of taking action at any time. He also realized that this soul beast was not simple. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Million-Year Soul Ring arrived. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Million-Year Soul Ring arrived. What kind of silkworm baby? You want to call me Tianmeng brother? I am the only million-year-old soul beast in Douluo Continent. Heavenly Dream Ice Silkworm shouted out in a fit of anger. Oh! Good silkworms, I know now, silkworms. Du Qianjue said obediently. The Heavenly Dream Ice Silkworm was suddenly filled with smoke from its 7 orifices, but unfortunately it did not have them, so it could only smoke all over its body. The most obvious thing was that the white mist around it was even stronger. Just as Poison Immortal's expression tightened and he almost couldn't hold back a slap, Tianmeng Ice Silkworm's momentum vented, appearing somewhat powerless. Forget it, just call it whatever you like. I need to discuss something with you. I will become your soul ring and help you become stronger. You just need to accept my soul ring, said Tianmeng Bingchan in a somewhat excited tone. Ha ha ha, I can finally leave this damn place. Those bastards who treat me like food, you won't have a chance. After speaking, the Heavenly Dream Ice Silkworm ignited a pale golden flame all over its body, then collided with Poison Qianjue with its head. The energy on its body continued to surge, and then formed 10 light balls that looked like the sun, piercing into Poison Qianjue's eyebrows. The poison that I watched in secret grew up in my mouth, and my chin was almost falling to the ground. What kind of thing? A talking beast, at least another soul beast from 100,000 grades, sacrificed to Qianjue. Du Buddy looked at Du Qianjue with a skeptical expression, feeling that his worldview, which had only been shaped after living for 200 years, had been greatly impacted. Boom! The wind and clouds change color, and the spiritual fluctuations emitted by the fusion of Poison Qianjue and Heavenly Dream Ice Silkworm make the sky within hundreds of meters covered by dark clouds. The powerful spiritual field even makes Poison Undead, the 98th level Super Douluo, feel slightly uncomfortable. After all, the immortality of Poison is not related to the spiritual realm, and it is a bit lacking in the face of the spiritual origin of Tianmeng Ice Silkworm, which has been around for millions of years. Although the quality of Tianmeng Ice Silkworm is indeed not good, no one can deny that the #1 power bank in Douluo is also not good. However, the next moment, an even more terrifying pressure descended. A faint imperceptible gray airflow emerged from the cracks in the space, and a more heavyweight figure arrived at the Douluo Continent. Amidst the laughter of the elderly, an extremely domineering sentence resounded in heaven and earth. Holding the sun, moon, and stars, there is no one like me in the world. I didn't expect that I could still have a trace of my soul surviving. The faint gray airflow also detected Poison Qianjue emerging with the Heavenly Dream Ice Silkworm. The airflow moved slightly and turned into a gray bead, flying into Poison Qianjue's eyebrows. It's numb, the poison won't die, it's already numb. If the Heavenly Dream Ice Silkworm is the representative of quantity, then the later mysterious existence is the representative of quality. The spiritual vastness of the Heavenly Dream Ice Silkworm made Poison Immortal unable to reach the dust, and the remaining trace of soul directly deterred Poison Immortal. The level is really too high. A level that can deter even poison from dying only God. Poison Immortal's face tightened and he quickly turned to poison Qianjue. At this moment, poison Qianjue's 7 orifices were already bleeding a bit, because the heavenly dream ice silkworm was trying to drive away the grey ball behind him who wanted to compete with him for territory in his spiritual sea. However, it clearly found that poison Qianjue's body could not withstand its original riot, so it had to reluctantly stop its movements and obediently merge with poison Qianjue. Brother, it's really unfortunate. I finally found a place to live and was even taken over by someone else. But it's finally done. Those bastards who treat me like food, I'll come back sooner or later. Wahahaha. The fusion came to an end, and a warm and jade-like white soul ring slowly emerged from poison Qianjue's body, and then merged into his body. The bottleneck of his soul master also suddenly broke open, and his level gradually climbed. Level 11, 12, 13. Thanks to having various heavenly and earthly treasures as food before the age of 6, even though most of them were used to warm and nourish the body and lay a solid foundation, there was still a considerable amount of medicinal power lurking in poison Qianjue's body, which was transformed into his soul power level at this moment. In addition, with the unprecedented million-year soul ring of heavenly dream ice silkworm, poison Qianjue's soul power level finally arrived. Level 16. It's simply terrifying. This is the difference between having a background and not having a background. At this time, Hui Yuhao had just awakened his martial soul, but his innate soul power was only level 1, and it is estimated that he is still at level 1. At the age of 12, when he fused with the heavenly dream ice silkworm, he was only level 10. Due to physical reasons, he was unable to integrate too much of the heavenly dream ice silkworm's power, and his soul power level was only level 11. Poison Qianjue, on the other hand, is able to absorb a portion of the power of the heavenly dream ice silkworm due to its physical advantage. The soul power, which was originally normal for absorbing soul rings and may have reached around level 13, has now skyrocketed to level 16. Don't underestimate these 3 levels. The advantage of soul power level in the early stage is the most obvious. The higher the soul power level under the age of 20, the higher the future achievements. A person who cannot reach level 30 even at the age of 20, without adventure, is almost unable to reach level 30. The Waste Master from 10,000 years ago is the best example. So you're called Poison Qianjue. We'll be partners in the future. I'll help you become stronger. The voice of Tianmeng Ice Silkworm echoed in Poison Qianjue's mind. Although your talent is already good, I can make it even better. My goal is to make you a god. After that, please give me more guidance, Tianmeng brother. Du Qianjue smiled slightly. It's easy to say, just after the fusion was completed and I'm tired, I won't talk to you anymore. I'm going to sleep for a while, and I'll wake up when you reach level 20. I can help you become a true peerless genius then. Tianmeng Ice Silkworm said proudly. Poison Qianjue smiled silently and withdrew from his spiritual world. As for the shards of Ilix's divine consciousness, Poison Qianjue also makes Tianmeng Ice Silkworm not worry too much. After all, that person really has no malicious intent. Externally, Poison Qianjue slowly opened his eyes, and as soon as he opened them, he saw the worried Poison Immortal in front of him, and his heart couldn't help but warm. Is fusion complete? Seeing that Poison Qianjue was fine, Poison Immortal's expression relaxed and he asked. Poison Qianjue nodded. What level of soul beast is that big silkworm? Poison Undead had some doubts. He originally thought it was a 100,000-year soul beast, but the soul ring that finally appeared on Poison Qianjue's body did not represent the blood-red color of 100,000 years, but was white. This white color was different from the white color of the 10-year soul ring, without that illusory feeling. Instead, it had a warm and jade-like substance. Without witnessing it with his own eyes, Poison Immortal may even think that this is a 10-year soul ring. But how could he, who witnessed the sacrifice of that big silkworm, still consider this unique white soul ring as a 10-year soul ring. Million years. Poison Qianjue slowly spat out 3 words. What? End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Return. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Return. Millions of years. Qianjue, you're not joking with me. Poison Immortal felt that the total shock of his life was not as much as today. Since ancient times, the maximum lifespan of soul rings has only been 100,000 years, but not everyone is qualified to absorb these 100,000-year soul rings. If their strength is not good, even if they have a 100,000-year soul ring in front of a soul master, they dare not absorb it. If he dares to absorb soul rings, his body dares to explode and show him. As a result, Du Qianjue told himself that his first soul ring was a million-year soul ring. Do I need to joke with you? Du Qianjue spread out his hand. Poison Immortal looked up and down at Poison Qianjue and nodded slowly. It seems that there is no need to joke. So, don't you also have a million-year-old soul bone? Poison Immortal's eyes lit up. This is a million-year-old. The unprecedented million-year soul ring soul bone in Douluo Continent. There is no soul bone. Before sacrificing to me, the silkworm baby was almost drained of its essence. Its strength was not good, and it was constantly controlled by the 100,000-year soul beast deep in the Starry forest until it broke through a million years before escaping. Poison Qianjue pursed his lips, and he also wanted the million-year soul bone. If Tianmeng Ice Silkworm gave him a million-year-old head soul bone, he wouldn't have to worry about spiritual issues before he became a god through cultivation. It's a pity there's no soul bone. Poison Immortal said with some regret. But there can be a martial soul, Poison Qianjue added. Oh, Wu. What? Wu soul. Poison Budeth once again opened its eyes wide, waiting for Poison Qianjue's explanation. It is an ice silkworm, with 2 attributes. Ice and spirit. The spirit attribute has been used to enhance my physical martial soul, which was also planned in advance. The ice attribute gives me a soulless ice attribute martial soul, explained Du Qianjue. This soulless martial soul will be concretized into the form of that soul ring when I absorb the first ice attribute soul ring in the future. So, my second martial soul will only be a beast martial soul. If you can persuade the Ice Heavenly Snow Lady, who is ranked 3rd on the list of ferocious beasts, to sacrifice to me, my second martial soul will be the Ice Heavenly Snow Lady. Are you so eager to become the leader of the Ontology sect? Let me persuade the Snow Emperor to sacrifice to you. Are you afraid you want me to die? Poison Immortal's face turned black and he slapped the back of Poison Qianjue's head. Poison Qianjue covered the back of his head and chuckled. It must be a joke to convince the Snow Emperor that Poison will not die. Without the presence of the Ice Emperor, he himself is not confident in convincing the Snow Emperor. However, Poison Qian definitely has some ideas about his second martial soul. It will take some time to try this idea. If this idea can be realized, then Poison Qianjue will truly have the foundation to fight against Tang San. The 2 of them haven't stayed here for long. The commotion just made was too loud, so it's better to leave quickly. Poison Immortal took off with Poison Qianjue, turned a corner, and flew towards the direction of the Ontology sect. On the way, Poison Qianjue also talked to Poison Undead about his first soul ring. According to the Heavenly Dream Ice Silkworm, Poison Qianjue's current body capacity can withstand a soul ring lifespan of about 900 years, so his first soul ring can also exert power for about 900 years. This lifespan will continue to increase as his body improves. And the soul skills attached to the soul ring are also 4, but it seems that due to the difference between the martial soul and Huiyuhao, the 4 soul skills of Poison Qianjue are also somewhat different. The 4 soul skills of Poison Qianjue are spiritual simulation, spiritual interference, spiritual hypnosis, and soul shock. Among them, mental interference and soul impact are the same. Mental simulation is the skill of Hui Yuhao's original second soul ring, and it is also a specialty of the Ice Silkworm clan. It can simulate itself into other forms, simulate breath, and change the color of the soul ring. Spiritual hypnosis is a soul technique exclusive to Poison Qianjue, which can cause mental impact on soul masters who are equally powerful or stronger than oneself. The effect is similar to soul impact, but the attack power is not as strong as soul impact. Instead, it looks a bit like mental confusion. However, if the opponent's spiritual power is not as good as oneself, they will be hypnotized. During hypnosis, they can directly control their body with spiritual power. Even in situations where there is a significant difference in mental strength, one can examine the other person's memory and change their cognition. The greater the difference in mental power, the longer the hypnosis time, the more profound the memory that can be viewed, and the more thorough the degree of cognitive change. Those ordinary memories can certainly be read casually, but if they are secrets that the other party strictly guards against, they need to be read with spiritual pressure. There are significant limitations, but it can still be considered a divine skill. Although there are no divine-level reconnaissance skills such as mental detection and mental sharing, there are two soul skills that are no less impressive than mental hypnosis and mental simulation. It's hard to care about the difference between gains and losses, but it's already quite good. Even when Du Qianjue saw the soul technique of mental hypnosis, many thoughts that he shouldn't have at his age suddenly came to mind. TSK, that's hypnosis of course. When introducing this soul skill to Poison Immortal, Poison Qianjue deliberately reserved it. He did not mention the effect of being able to check the opponent's memory or change their cognition, but rather the ability to control their body. As a result, Poison Immortal has been praised as a million-year soul skill. After returning to the main sect, Poison Immortal went to deal with the affairs of the sect. As the head of the Ontology sect, although he is not usually busy, he always needs to sit at the sect gate to prevent any accidents from happening. And Poison Qianjue also returned to his yard and began his asceticism. 6 months have passed since this cultivation. Du Qianjue has also reached the age of 6.5. During these 6 months, Du Qianjue spent nearly 2 months stabilizing the surging soul power. Even though the surging level 6 soul power was already very solid, Du Qianjue still put a lot of effort into it. In the future, he will merge his own strength into one furnace, break through the 100-level shackles and become a god with his powerful strength. Although the world of Douluo Continent does not talk about any foundation or insights, as long as his soul power is not floating, he can continue to cultivate. How could Du Qianjue only be satisfied with the power of this world? Anyway, his cultivation speed is already fast enough, and the following 4 months also intuitively reflect his cultivation speed. Upgrade 1 level per month. This kind of speed, even if it's poison that never dies, is a bit uneasy, afraid that Poison Qianjue will waste his unparalleled talent. After Poison Qianjue told him that he had reached level 20, he repeatedly checked 3 or 4 times before confirming that Poison Qianjue was indeed a step-by-step. There's no way. There is also the Heavenly Dream Ice Silkworm, the first power bank of Douluo, inside the body. I can't even break through slowly. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Planning. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Planning. Qianjue, you are now at level 20. Do you want to start implementing my plan to help you obtain the second martial soul? After returning to the yard, the enthusiastic voice of Tianmeng Ice Silkworm rang in Poison Qianjue's mind. Tianmeng Ice Silkworm is really happy. It didn't expect that a randomly selected human cub could have such a terrifying talent, becoming a god, and immortality is right in front of its eyes. Originally, if it had only a 30% chance of helping Poison Qianjue become a god, but after seeing the terrifying cultivation speed of Poison Qianjue, its chance increased to 50%. If Poison Qianjue were to travel to the far north with him again, its chance could still be increased to 70%. The concept of ontology in martial soul has already been understood by Poison Qianjue, especially for this blessed ontology, which is no less than the existence of super-martial soul. If we add a second martial soul of the ultimate ice, how powerful Poison Qianjue can be, even the heavenly dream ice Silkworm dare not think. At least not worse than Emperor Tian. Emperor Tian is stuck all the time because soul beasts cannot become gods, and if Poison Qianjue can reach the level of Emperor Tian, it is safe to become gods. Tianmeng Ice Silkworm understands the strength of Emperor Tian very well, so it also has high expectations for Poison Qianjue. Upon hearing the voice in his mind, Du Qianjue pondered for a moment before slowly shaking his head. Not yet, I have a plan that needs to be tested first. If it succeeds, then there's nothing to worry about anymore. Okay, just call me when you plan to go to the far north, Tianmeng Ice Silkworm said lazily, flipping over and falling asleep again. It can only be said that the name Tianmeng Ice Silkworm was really chosen correctly. It really likes to sleep. Du Qianjue ignored Tianmeng Ice Silkworm's playful behavior. At this moment, his brow furrowed tightly and his heart was struggling. Should I go or not? Will there be his layout there? Can my plan be successful with my uncle's help? Throughout the day, Poison Qianjue was struggling with this issue. The mountain gate of the Ontology sect is next to the Tiando city, while the target of Poison Qianjue is not far from the Ontology sect. He has been struggling to make up his mind for stability, but his sense of urgency to become stronger makes him extremely conflicted. The benefits of that place for Poison Immortal are undoubtedly undeniable. Poison Qianjue is even confident that Poison Immortal can break through the limits of Douluo there, but the layout that Tang Buddha may leave behind makes him have to be cautious. Qianjue. The sound of Poison Immortal came from outside the door, but the conflicted Poison Qianjue didn't hear it at all, so Poison Immortal walked in on his own. As soon as he entered the door, he saw Du Qianjue frowning tightly, with dark circles around his eyes and a haggard face. After all, the child's body is only 6.5 years old, and he sleeps, eats, and drinks all day long. Even if his poisonous soul power has reached level 20, he still cannot withstand it. Poison Immortal was shocked and turned pale. He quickly walked to Poison Qianjue's side and placed his big hand on his back. The thick and gentle soul power slowly injected into Poison Qianjue's body, soothing his fatigue. Uncle. Poison Qianjue looked up and forced a smile. Poison immortality is really good for him. He doesn't know whether or not to take the risk of poison immortality. Tang San's divine power, even if it's just a trace, killing extreme Douluo is like killing a chicken, not to mention that poison immortality is not even the limit. If Tang San's concern for the eyes of ice and fire exceeds his estimation due to his misjudgment, he may even offend the god of destruction and intervene forcefully. Even if he is later impeached by the god of destruction in the Divine Realm Committee, he and Poison Immortal will eventually die and cannot survive. What are you thinking, child? Why are you so conflicted? Poison Budai looked unhappy. You're only a few years old, and you're just wasting your body like this. Do you think you're a title Douluo? If you have anything to say directly to your uncle, will he still help you or not? It's okay if you don't listen. As soon as you hear these words, Du Qianjue becomes even more conflicted. The indulgence in Du's tone is not concealed at all. How could Du Qianjue let him inexplicably follow him to death? But when he thought about the immortality of the poison in the original work, he still had to die. Without breaking through the limit, he was still seriously injured in front of the soul weapons of the Sun and Moon Empire, and a large number of disciples of the sect died. He also self-destructed his soul core and fell. Poison Qianjue finally made up his mind. Not only him, but also the people of the entire Douluo Continent live under the shadow of Tang San. Whether it is a soul master or a commoner, the common people are in dire straits. This poison cannot be controlled, and he is not the Holy Mother. He has no idea of bringing the red spirit of another world to this place. Soul Master, if you're just waiting to die, it's okay. With your strong strength, you can still dream of death. But if you want to go further, you'll really be crushed to death by Tang San. If according to Qianmeng's plan, poison Qianjue obtains the soul ring and martial soul of the Ice Emperor, which can certainly improve his talent and even compare to Qian Rengshu from thousands of years ago, but in the end, Qian Rengshu is different and still dies. Although there is a reason why she died on her own, it cannot be denied that although the strength of Xia Wuzhen is not much, it is indeed there. If poison Qianjue wants to do better, he can only take risks and fight with his life. Uncle, if I were to take the two of us on an adventure, but this adventure may cost our lives. Would you come with me? Du Qianjue said slowly, looking straight into the eyes of the immortal poison. Poison Immortal frowned and pondered the meaning behind poison Qianjue's words. Now he understood that poison Qianjue probably didn't want to risk his life with him, which is why he was so conflicted. Is there any reason why we must go? If we succeed in our adventure, what can we get? Poison Immortal asked with a plain expression. There is no reason why it is necessary to go. If you go on an adventure, you will definitely die if you fail. But if you succeed, there is a high probability that you can break through level 99 and achieve the limit. I also have a high probability that I can create a true foundation for becoming a god. Du Qianjue lowered his head and spoke softly. Breaking through limits, the foundation of becoming a god. It has to be said that poison can't kill his heart. If the opportunity to break through the limit is enough, it will make his heart hot. The foundation of becoming a god of poison almost makes him lose his rationality. After taking a few deep breaths, Poison Immortal finally broke free from his greedy desire. He did not doubt Poison Qianjue's words, just like half a year ago when he allowed Poison Qianjue to come into contact with Tianmeng Ice Silkworm. And half a year ago, the final result was that Poison Qianjue obtained a million-year soul ring and also obtained an undefined second martial soul. Wait, second martial soul. Poison Immortal's eyelids twitched. Qianjue, is this related to your second martial soul? Upon hearing this, Poison Qianjue looked up in surprise at Poison Immortal. He didn't expect Poison Immortal to be able to imagine this. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Immortal Poison. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Immortal Poison. Indeed, there is a high probability that that place will allow me to obtain an extremely powerful second martial soul. I never expected that Poison Qianjue would be able to come up with the correct answer with his brain. Where is the ice and fire Liangyi? Once the second of the 9 Dragon Kings, the falling place of the Ice and Fire Dragon Kings. In the depths of the spring, there are even the bones and souls of the Ice and Fire Dragon King. If one could inject the dragon souls of the Ice and Fire Dragon King or even the Ice and Fire Dragon King into a blank martial soul, wouldn't Poison Qianjue be able to possess a 9 Great Dragon King level martial soul? 10,000 years later, a soul master with only an incomplete Mountain Dragon King martial soul can make the protagonist Tang Wulin feel embarrassed. How powerful should a complete Dragon King level martial soul be? When Poison Qianjue is ready to break through and become a god, completely integrating this martial soul into Poison Qianjue's body will cause him to undergo what kind of transformation? Isn't this much stronger than a single Ice Emperor martial soul or Snow Emperor martial soul? In addition, with the numerous immortal herbs of the Ice and Fire Liangyi, Poison Qianjue is even confident that he can create his own divine position and become a god before the age of 30. Within the time limit of 100 years of ascension, he can achieve the Divine King, and then ascend to the Divine Realm to join forces with the God of Destruction to directly defeat Tang San. It can be said that if one does not venture into the Ice and Fire Liangyi, the development time of Poison Qianjue will be greatly slowed down. If Tang San detects something is wrong, he may even forcibly strangle him. Don't doubt Tang San's character, he can definitely do such a thing. Tang San, these pressures. If I could become a god, I would definitely give them all back to you one by one. Poison Qianjue gritted his teeth in his heart. And Poison Immortal is also struggling. It doesn't matter if he can't break through his limits suddenly, even if he has been longing for that realm for almost 100 years. His elder brother is dying to break through this realm. But these are not worth mentioning before the event of Poison Qianjue becoming a god. Then, on second thought, Poison never dies. That's not right. Why do I have to follow the ideas of this kid Qianjue? Let him tell me his location, I'll go explore the way first. If I could successfully break through my limits and come back, it would be great if I could go back again. Poison never dies, he slapped his forehead and told Poison Qianjue his thoughts. Poison Qianjue has some muggles. We agreed to go and die together. Old man, why do you want to leave me alone and go high? It seems that he understood Du Qianjue's silence, and Du Undead grabbed Du Qianjue's shoulder with both hands and said seriously. Qianjue, I know you are very worried about your uncle, afraid that he may fall to that place due to your mistake. But you should know that your uncle can die, and everyone in the Ontology sect can die, but you cannot. You are the future of our Ontology sect. As long as you grow up, the Ontology sect will eventually stand on this continent, even more brilliant than Shrek Academy. So, even if you want to go, uncle should go first. If I can come back successfully, I will take you there. If I can't come back successfully, I will let Jinpeng temporarily take over the position of sect leader, and wait for you to break through the Soul Douluo before taking over the sect. Faced with the exhortation that Poison will not die, as if leaving a legacy, Poison Qianjue silently nodded. Don't worry, uncle. If I become a god, the Ontology sect will become a holy land for mainland soul masters. Okay, then I'll go. Poison Immortal nodded with satisfaction. Watching the figure of Poison Undead leaving, Poison Qianjue clenched his fists tightly. Great, there's another reason to become a god. If Poison Immortal really never returns, Poison Qianjue will ask Jinpeng to take him to the far north and let the Ice Emperor sacrifice the second soul ring of his physical martial soul. Then, at the age of 12, he will cultivate and join the Imperial Academy of Heavenly Soul and participate in the Advanced Soul Master Academy competition across the continent. Then activate all the title Douluo of the Ontology sect and secretly go to Xinglua City. After Xiahongkan captures the Snow Emperor embryo, let the title Douluo intercept the person who took the Snow Emperor embryo. Finally, let the Heavenly Dream Ice Silkworm and the Ice Emperor persuade the Snow Emperor to become their second martial soul. If Poison does not die, Poison Qianjue will completely survive, using stability as the term of life, because in order to revive Poison does not die, he must become a god and cannot be suffocated by Tang San Ban Lu. Without Poison, he will not die, and the Ontology sect will not have the strength to raid the Mingda Hall. It is impossible to dig a tunnel to steal the embryo of the Snow Emperor. In his previous life, Poison Qianjue was not really too scheming. He had no plans for his own life and had been living a mediocre life. But since he was inexplicably pulled to the Douluo Continent, Poison Qianjue had to work hard for survival. Although he could also use his identity as the young master of the Ontology sect to be carefree and happy, as long as he didn't think about fighting Tang San, he could live a very carefree life in the Douluo Continent. But he didn't want to, whether it was his disgust towards Tang San in the previous life, or the gifts and commissions of planetary consciousness in this life, he couldn't turn a blind eye to it. Hee. Strength. Poison Qianjue gave a cold smile, turned around and returned to his room, where he began practicing again. On the other side, the main hall of the sect. Poison Immortal carries both hands on his back, facing the three characters of the main body in front of the main hall. His eyes squint slightly, and his dark green pupils are full of sharpness. Although Poison Qian never speaks, how could he, who is old and refined, not see it? Don't underestimate any strong person, they have lived for too many years and ate more salt than you could eat. He could see that Du Qianjue had always had a sense of urgency, as if an unknown enemy was urging him to become stronger, and Du Qianjue was not like a child at all. From childhood to adulthood, although there are also innocent and romantic behaviors as children, there are also many mature behaviors that do not fit this age. If it were not for the soul breath being flawless, one would even think that poison Qianjue has been taken away by someone. Recalling his experience in the Starry Forest and the words that Du Qian had instructed him just now, he clenched his fist tightly and slowly released it. Anyway, you are a descendant of my older brother, aren't you? You are also sincere to my uncle, aren't you? Du Buddy smiled slightly and let go of his resentment. If that's the case, why can't I sacrifice my life for you? Master. Behind Poison Immortal, a tall figure suddenly appeared, with an extremely powerful and profound strength. Ontology Zong Jinpeng, Level 97 Title Douluo, Title Jinshen. Brother, there's no need to be polite, Poison Immortal turned around and said gently. In front of outsiders, Poison Immortal always appears domineering and rebellious, but members of the Ontology sect know that when dealing with people in the sect, Poison Immortal has always been gentle because these people are all family members to Poison Immortal. I have something to tell you. Master, speak up. Upon hearing the words of Poison Immortal, Jin Peng's face turned pale. I need to go out for a trip. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Ice and Fire Liangyi Eyes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 Ice and Fire Liangyi Eyes. Master, which level are you going to break through? Jin Peng was surprised and then delighted. That's right, this time I'm going out, I'm just looking for opportunities to break through the limits. It could be as little as 1 year, or as much as 3 to 5 years. If I succeed, I will definitely come back. Du Buddy nodded and said, during the time I'm away, you'll temporarily take on the position of sect leader until I come back. If my soul lamp goes out, you can inherit the main body sect leader. When Qianjue breaks through the soul Douluo or succeeds to the main body seed, you can pass on the throne to him. Big brother, this. Jin Peng's face became urgent as he hesitated to speak. Is there still any danger in going here? Breakthrough is not always smooth sailing, and if it falls, it's not surprising. Poison Immortal's expression remained unchanged, still calm and indifferent, raising his hand to stroke his beard. Okay, Jin Peng nodded helplessly. For Jin Peng, it is reassuring that he will not die from poison. They have known each other for nearly 200 years, and apart from their status within the sect, it is not an exaggeration to say that they have a life and death relationship. After I left, Qianjue asked you to take care of me. Don't worry, big brother. A jet green light whizzed through the sky, thousands of kilometers high, and the clouds were instantly cut open, leaving a straight mark. This is exactly how poison never dies. With an extremely strong cultivation level of 98, and coupled with the fact that the Ontology sect is not far from the Sunset Forest, Poison Immortal quickly arrived at the center of the Sunset Forest. It's strange to say that although both the Ontological sect and the Sunset Forest are located in Qianjue City, for thousands of years, the Ontological sect has really not shown any interest in the Sunset Forest. As long as you go a little deeper, you can see the terrifying blue scale poison cloud and the blue scale poison formation under the poison cloud, which are tens of thousands of blue scale 7 exquisite flowers and 9 exquisite flowers. It's okay if others don't practice poison techniques, but the two brothers, Poison Must Die and Poison Cannot Die, have never been to this place before. This is really too weird. When describing the place of Ice and Fire Liangyi Eyes, Poison Qianjue and Poison Undead even looked surprised, saying that they never expected such a place to be near Qianjue City. Poison Qianjue has also asked why Poison Immortal has not explored the Sunset Forest. According to Poison Immortal, every time he passes by this place, he subconsciously doesn't pay attention. If it weren't for Poison Qianjue mentioning it, Poison Immortal wouldn't even notice anything wrong with this place. Oh. My great Tang God King, I really have you. Speaking of which, when Poison Immortal arrived above the poisonous miasma, he couldn't help but take a sip of water. For others, this thing is a snake and scorpion that cannot be avoided, but for the immortality of poison, this thing is a great supplement. Refining all this poisonous cloud will definitely greatly enhance his deadly poison. But poison never dies without urgency. Poison Qianjue has already arranged everything for him. The dark green soul power surged, and the poison immortal transformed into a dark green stream of light, tearing apart the poison cloud and rushing into the valley below it. After falling into the valley, poison immortal first smelled a strong sulfur smell, which represented that he had not found the wrong place. Next, he saw the red and white lake located in the center of the valley. Ice and fire, two eyes. Poison immortal's gaze froze and he scanned the surroundings. The origin of this place was also explained in detail by Poison Qianjue, and it was emphasized that there may be a divine presence in this place, and it is very likely to kill people and silence them, so as not to expose the location of this place. So if the divine mind is triggered, it will inevitably lead to a near death. Besides, there is almost no danger in this place. As long as you don't touch the red and white lake water in the center, there is no threat to the immortality of other immortals. After all, it's just a meat pig raised by Tang San. Even if it's a soul beast that has been around for 100,000 years, and even if its body is an immortal herb, it's like a fifth scumbag in front of the 98th level super Douluo, poison undead. Poison immortal walked slowly in the eyes of ice and fire Liangyi, with various medicinal herbs constantly appearing in his eyes, making his mouth water as he watched Poison Immortal. The Ontological sect is extremely enthusiastic about the development of the body, and developing the potential of the body will inevitably cause damage to the body, so they are extremely eager for various precious medicinal herbs. If all these medicinal herbs in front of me were taken back, they would probably be enough for the Ontology sect to use for thousands of years. However, Poison Immortal still forcibly suppressed the impulse to rob this place completely, and searched for his own target this time. Fragrant Douluo Immortal Product. Pink Talking Flower. Douluo Immortal Pill. Poison Qianjue told him that although this herb has no detoxification effect, its anti-poison ability is unparalleled. Especially, it has become a soul beast for 100,000 years, and its pregnant Douluo pill is the essence of this herb. As long as you swallow Culloden, you no longer have to worry about the problem of the poison of your own life being backfired. This thing, whether it was Douluo from thousands of years ago or Poison Immortal from now, is a dream. Found it. Poison Immortal's face lit up with joy, and he looked at a 3-meter-tall flower not far away. The flower was pink, with no leaves on its body, only a straight stem supporting the beautiful flower. Human. The fragrant Douluo Immortal product trembled slightly, and a somewhat puzzled and pleasant female voice came over. How could humans appear here? Are you a descendant of that person? Poison Immortal ignored the doubts of the fragrant Douluo Immortal product and walked expressionlessly to its face. Then, the powerful soul power of level 98 suddenly erupted, and the terrifying pressure immediately swept across the entire ice and fire Liangyi eyes. How could such a powerful human come here? The whole flower of Yoxiang Douluo Immortal Pin wilted and her voice stuttered. I warn you, human. If you harm us, that person will definitely punish you. Luo Dan, give it to me. Poison Immortal's tone was flat, without any fluctuation due to the words of the fragrant Douluo Immortal. No way. The fragrant Douluo Immortal refused in one gulp. Poison Immortal's eyes widened, and the dark green soul power condensed on his fist. The fierce killing intent immediately enveloped the fragrant Douluo Immortal product. I'll give it. I'll give it. Don't do anything. The fragrant Douluo Immortal product immediately came from the heart, trembling and sending out a crimson-purple round bead from the flower bud. Can you leave half for me? Bring it to you. Poison Immortal waved his hand and grabbed Culloden before throwing it into the storage soul guide. And you too, Qi Jiao and Xian Bing Jing, hand them over, don't force me to do it myself. Poison Bu Dai glanced at the two immortal herbs in the center of the ice spring fire spring and said in a domineering tone. Human beings. Don't force us to fish to death with you. Lai Huaxing Jiao Shu immediately became anxious and shouted in a sharp voice. And the octagonal dark ice grass was very wise to send out a polygonal ice crystal and fly it to the face of Poison Immortal. Not bad. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Preparation for Breakthrough. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Preparation for Breakthrough, CC Material, Weijunjie. I just like you, a wise grass. Poison Buddy nodded with satisfaction, and then his murderous gaze immediately turned to Liehuaxing Jiaoshu. The flame apricot's delicate body trembled like a cabbage, and then obediently handed out a fiery red gel. Poison Immortal took out 2 jade boxes from the storage soul guide and put the incandescent glue and the mysterious ice crystal inside. These two things are different from Kaludin. If not packed in a jade box, they have strong destructive power and can easily lose their medicinal effects. Speaking of which, Poison Qianjue did not actually allow Poison Immortal to take these two things. However, when introducing various immortal herbs in the Eyes of Ice and Fire Liangyi, he mentioned that these two things can refine the body of ice and fire, making water and fire immune to all kinds of toxins and greatly enhancing physical fitness. This was specifically recorded by Poison Immortal, intending to send it back to Poison Qianjue for physical training after obtaining it, and then come back to break through the limit. It has to be said that Poison Immortal's love for Poison Qianjue is truly sincere and not at all fraudulent. After completing all of this, Poison Immortal returned to the face of the fragrant Qi Luo Immortal product once again. Human, you. What else do you want? The fragrant Qi Luo Immortal shrank in fear. Give me another snowy swan kiss, and I'll leave here, said Poison Undead. In order to send away the malevolent star Poison Immortal, Yoxiang Qilua Immortal did not hesitate this time. A pink light shot out from its petals and then brought back a pure white small flower. Although the little flower looks very inconspicuous, it can feel a strong sense of threat on this flower despite being poisonous. He quickly wrapped the fairy grass with pure soul power, put it in a jade box, and sent it to the storage soul guide. Finally, he turned back and took a deep look at the Eyes of Ice and Fire, then Poison Immortal turned around and left. Just now, apart from robbery, he naturally didn't do anything. Since he already knew that there was a high probability that there would be a divine spirit in this place, how could he not investigate without being poisoned? In the perception of immortality and poison, apart from the ice and fire spring in the center, there was only the root position of the fragrant Qi Luo Immortal product in the Eyes of the Ice and Fire Liangyi, and he could not detect anything. If there is, then it must be in that place. As long as you don't rush that fragrant Qilua fairy, there shouldn't be any major problems. Poison Immortal quickly returned to the main body sect, throwing 2 jade boxes to Poison Qianjue and telling him that they were the Xian Ice Crystal and Qi Jiao of octagonal Xian Ice Grass and Flaming Apricot Delicate. He then quickly returned to the Eyes of the Ice and Fire Liangyi. The reason for sending back the Xianbing Crystal and the incandescent glue first is because even if the poison is not dead, I am afraid that I will fail to break through. I am also worried that breaking through here will bring out that strand of divine energy. At that time, it is estimated that there will be no way to send back these 2 natural resources and treasures. However, Poison Immortal still came, and he planned to make more noise. It was best to draw out that strand of divine consciousness and then consume it desperately, so that Poison Qianjue could enter safely. With the mentality of becoming benevolent if unsuccessful, Poison Immortal arrived at the center of the blue scale poison formation, where tens of thousands of blue scale 7 absolute flowers and 9 absolute flowers were planted, providing him with endless soul power. Poison Undead sat cross-legged, and the surrounding blue scale flowers were trembling, because the pressure on Poison Undead was too strong. Even if they had an advantage in number, they had no desire to resist. Reaching out his hand, he took out the Kaludin and swallowed it in one gulp. Poison Immortal began his path of breakthrough. 10,000 years ago, the existence that broke through level 99 was called the Peerless Douluo. Due to the lack of a soul core system, breaking through the Peerless Douluo relied solely on the perception of martial souls, so this realm was called the Moon Control Realm. Now, with the soul core system, breaking through the tidal Douluo on level 99 has become much easier. As long as the spiritual power meets the standard, the first and second soul cores can be successfully condensed at levels 89 and 98, and breakthrough can be achieved. Although my understanding of martial souls is not as great as 10,000 years ago, the amplitude of combat power in the soul core system is also enormous, and it is difficult to say which era the strong are stronger. The first soul core has nothing to say, but the second soul core has two different ways of coalescence. Same position resonance and complementary yin and yang. The method of resonance in the same position allows two soul nuclei to rotate in the same direction, forming a large circumference of soul power within the body that is constantly growing. The method of complementary yin and yang allows two soul cores to rotate in different directions, driving the entire body's soul power to form a vortex of soul power in the body's meridians. The spatial power is used to store soul power in the vortex, which is incredibly powerful and far superior to the method of resonance in the same position. And these two soul core aggregation methods, human soul masters are limited by their physical strength and can only break through the limit of Douluo through the method of resonance in the same position. Only soul beasts with their strong physique can condense the second soul core of yin and yang complement each other when the age reaches 700,000 years. What Poison Immortal needs to condense at this moment is the yin-yang complementary second soul core that no one has ever been able to successfully condense. He can only be said to be too bold and lucky. His first soul core was formed based on soul power, while his second soul core has two options. One is to use spatial power as the soul core attribute, and the other is to use the poison of his own life as the soul core attribute. The power of space is definitely insufficient. If the Poison Immortal space attainment was sufficient, it would have already exceeded its limit. But what if the poison of one's life were used to condense the second soul core? For drug immortality, this place is simply a treasure trove. At this moment, there are tens of thousands of blue scale 7 Ju flowers and blue scale 9 Ju flowers near the immortal poison. There is also a large blue scale poison cloud accumulated for thousands of years on top of the head, and there is even an immortal herb in the storage soul guide that can generate toxins countless times, the snow swan kiss. In addition, the Qi Luo Dan he just swallowed protected himself from being backfired by the poison of his own life. What's the point of trying to complement the second soul core of yin and yang with his body, martial soul, and golden level second awakening, given this wonderful opportunity of timing, location, and human presence? A frenzy swept through Poison Undead's eyes, and the first soul core in his chest spun wildly. The whale swallowed the surrounding poison cloud, and the blue scales, 7 unique and 9 unique flowers all mourned and shattered, transforming into pure poison and soul power, which was absorbed into Poison Undead's body. The commotion caused by breaking through the limit immediately alarmed the fairy grass who had just fallen asleep in the eyes of ice and fire. This aura. Is that human just now? Why did he come again? What did he want to do with such a big commotion? The immortal grass were about to cry without tears, and they really had no good impression of the immortality of poison. No matter what they think, the breakthrough of immortality will not stop because of their thoughts. At this moment, in the divine realm. Inside the sea god hall, Tang San's face was somewhat uncertain. How could the eyes of ice and fire be discovered? It's impossible. End of this chapter.